to an exclusive on Pod Hub Network. Your city, your podcast.
To the delight of this crowd, McClendon marches down the dugout steps with first base. McCutcheon's throw. The runner breaks to the plate. Here's the throw. Wow. He is out. The Buccos win.
That ball's hit well to left center field. Back toward the track. And that ball is gone.
You are listening to the North Shore 9 podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, make sure to watch NS9 Live every Thursday on Twitch and help support by becoming a patron. Let's go Bucks!
Yo, good morning. Welcome to Starbucs. I am your host, Anthony DiNardo, with my co-host, Jim Rosati. Jim, welcome. It's a Wednesday morning, not a Tuesday. Apologize, but we're here.
Yeah, we won't go into details as to why it's Wednesday, but yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
We wanted to make sure minor league opening day happened, so we had some stuff to talk about.
Exactly. I mean, you know, why have this big production about minor leagues coming back when there's really nothing to truly talk about? So, you know, just skip a day. No, I'll tell you what. I mean, not to put any fault here, not to do anything. We didn't do a stream yesterday, but I will say this too. I was going to bring this up yesterday as well. I want to ask you a question because I don't know if it is just me or what. But so my wake up routine, I have about 4 alarms that go off. Okay. And the reason for it as well is especially when I get like a lack of sleep. So like the night before, I think I had 5 hours of sleep, maybe 4 because of the West Coast game. And just, you know, because we're doing the stream at 7 a.m. as well. So do you ever, like when the alarm goes off, and I swear it's like within this second, I have like this entire production made of why that alarm is false and turn off and go to bed. Like, and in my, it's all like sudden of like, in this entire like backstory and everything of why that alarm shouldn't be going off. Whether it's like I don't feel well, you know, it's actually should be a Saturday, whatever it happens to be. Like this whole scenario gets made up in my head, and I turn the alarm off and go back to bed.
Yeah, no, that doesn't happen to me. Usually, what happens to me is I set an alarm, and it goes off, and then I hit the snooze button, and then the snooze alarm goes off, and then I hit the snooze button again. Until I feel like getting up, basically.
So you're fully cognitive of what's happening, what's going on. You know it's time to wake up. Your ass just isn't going to wake up yet.
Well, typically I will set the alarm about 27 minutes before I normally would have to wake up.
27. I like the precision.
So that way I can snooze 3 times, and then it'll mean I'm up at the exact right time.
Gotcha. So you're all down to patterns and routines here.
Yeah, I mean, because I want to snooze.
Mathematically found out 27 minutes is that sweet spot.
Yeah, I want to snooze as many times as possible. So I don't want to wake up too early, but I do want to snooze a few times.
Gotcha.
That makes sense.
I don't know. It's so weird because that's how I honestly, like yesterday, once I like eventually got up, I thought about it. I was like, I was probably this close yesterday to missing the show just for that fact. And that's why I have to have 4, because I feel like by the 4th time I realized, wait, maybe there's actually something to this alarm that's going off. And I check and, you know, like my brain starts working and I'm like, oh yeah, I got a show to do this morning. Better get up. Yeah. I don't know what the scenario was yesterday, but I recall like vividly the first 2 times just thinking like, no, this isn't it.
Yeah.
Turn the alarm off.
So my problem yesterday was I just didn't set an alarm.
Well, I wasn't going to out you, but now that you have,
that was the issue yesterday.
But it's okay, folks. Alarm was set this morning, straight off the second late night bucking. And also, Jim, here a little bit happier. The Buccos are coming off of a win. They didn't waste a good pitching performance like Tyler Anderson's the other night. They just got a good results from Mitch Keller and got a W. And like you said, and we had our first actual day of minor league baseball that we can talk about. So a lot of stuff to talk about today. I guess maybe first let's start off with not last night's game, but the game before. Tyler Anderson was throwing a no pretty deep into the game. Can we just start off? I mean, the bats look terrible, of course. Again, the bullpen did bullpen type stuff for the most part. Let's just get to Tyler Anderson. Tyler Anderson, he looked good. Like, there's really no other way to put it. You know, I know the first two starts, like there was a lot of hits. Like the one game he had like 10 hits, right? But I put out there like that. He still looked impressive to me. And as the season's progressed, it seems like everything's caught up with him. Like he has actually looked like a very, as you might say, a very fine pitcher, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's not sexy. No, he's not like this frontline ace. We didn't catch lightning in a bottle. At least I don't think so yet. But I do feel as if Tyler Anderson has shown, so far at least, that he's very capable of being in. I don't know if there's a rotation out there that he wouldn't slide into right now.
Right. Yeah. Especially now with all the injuries that have occurred.
Especially now.
Yeah.
The Dodgers might be knocking on the door right now for Tyler Anderson. Maybe.
Yeah. He has looked really good. I mean, obviously outperforming anybody's expectations of Tyler Anderson, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's 6 starts, but it's six excellent starts. He has really shown that he can get major league hitters out. So, and it's not just that he's doing it, the old way with balls in play and weak contact, but he's getting swings and misses too. So he's his fastball. Like again, we talked about it. I think we talked about it last week a little bit. That fastball, there's something about it that people swing and miss. Like it's not the fastest in the world. It's in the 6th percentile in velocity, but he gets swings and misses on it. And I think it's just his timing thing. I haven't watched a lot of Tyler Anderson in the past, but they brought it up during the broadcast this week that he changes up his delivery a lot. You kind of watch him throw the ball. He never does the same thing twice,
right?
And that's, I don't know if it's just causing timing to come off or what, but yeah, 30% whiff rate on his fastball so far this year. It's been a pretty good pitch for him.
And like you said, it's not blowing it by. It's not as if he's a Aroldis Chapman. It's like, here, I dare you to swing in and hit this, So, and I agree. It's not as if, we've had Tyler Anderson tape for years to come and we're looking down this, but I only make the comparison for this reason. It is like very Johnny Cueto-ish in the sense where like that hitch he has, it's different all the time. Not all the time, but he changes it up. I mean, Cueto will give you that shimmy and it'll last, like a 10th of a second. And then he'll go like, it seems like he's back there for like 3 seconds dancing before he finally pitches that. So we know he has like this little hitch in his delivery, but it's not the same. He doesn't repeat it all the time. So, right, that hitch can, of course, throw hitters off to begin with. But then when you're not, you don't have that time down because you don't know how long it's going to be or how he's going to do it, release point, everything. It can really throw hitters off. So I do believe there's something to that. Will, hitters figure that out, and get more accustomed to it as the year progresses? I mean, that's something to look into. That there's potential there, right? I mean, that's why I'm not sure if like this 3.24 ERA Tyler Anderson will last the whole time, but that's what has impressed me. Like he has come in here and guys are swinging and missing. Like the stuff is actually there. It's not really smoke and mirrors, and he's got like a 100 BABIP on the year, and like this, it's this full blown out luck. Like he actually looks like he's out there and he's pitching and he's getting results. So yes, it's just 6 starts, but right now, I mean, especially, I mean, the starters are pretty much trash right now, except for Brubaker. Like he looks like he's the ace of the staff almost. Between him and Brubaker, I mean, he's looked really, really good. And we talked early in the season as far as like trade chips. Like can he be one potentially? I think our thought was more or less like there could potentially be a whole lot of injuries this year, which I mean there has definitely been injuries this year. But he might be he might be traded just for the fact that like guys need arms. And right now, I think he's up that to he might be traded for because guys and teams want him, not just have to, by a need, a Tyler Anderson. So I've really liked what I've seen out of him so far.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think he's definitely an arm where, as we get closer and closer to the deadline, if he continues to pitch, near this level, yeah, he's going to be somebody the teams are going to want.
So just because I have to play devil's advocate here, all right. We did this with Colin Moran. That's why I'm going to do it here as well. Although Colin Moran we've had a track record with, but okay. So Tyler Anderson, he was signed to a 1-year deal, right? He's 31 years old. He is pitching like this. Are you looking to trade him, or are you maybe even looking to say, let's extend him?
I think you're 100% looking to trade him.
So there's no reason, like in the back of your head, the Pirates should be looking at this and saying, let's offer you a couple of years on a deal. Let's offer you a 2-year, 3-year extension, whatever. Keep you around for this rebuild, potentially into the next regime.
Yeah, probably. I'm going to go ahead and just say, no. Because first off, you're probably not doing an extension in the middle of the year. Like it would be at the end of the year. So by that point, if you're going to offer him an extension, it's because he pitched well this year. So you're probably not going to pay the amount of money that he's wanting. I don't know. I'm zero. I mean, let's put it like a 2% chance that Tyler Anderson is an extension candidate, but extremely unlikely. He was brought in here to eat innings and to potentially bring somebody over at the deadline, and I think that's what he's going to do.
Good. Okay, I'm with you. So that's settled. So unlike Colin Moran, where I think you kind of convinced me where I could see a scenario. I don't think there's any reason to even look at the only reason Tyler Anderson here is to give innings and to potentially be a trade chip. And I think he's successfully so far becoming both. Yeah, I don't even I'm not going to go too much into discussion. Actually, let's just drop it from here on. Tyler Anderson, not an extension candidate. We're looking to trade him really as soon as you can. As soon as you get something of real value. Anything else stand out for the game before on Monday night?
That was it about Monday's game. Yeah, Tyler Anderson. I mean, it was kind of cool to have all the alerts on your phone, all the no-hitter alerts come in. We haven't had one of those in a while.
Yep. And then immediately, there was a hit.
Yeah, immediately.
Oh, well, I mean, it was good. It was a really good performance. Yeah. It's against, of course, the Padres. The Padres, it's funny. I mean, I think a lot of us watched that Padres-Dodgers series, and boy, those Padres look like juggernauts. And it seems kind of funny. I mean, I'm not out of here just trying to hype up the Pirates or anything, but like the Pirates and Padres series, it just seems like the Padres turn into pumpkins. They haven't been impressive ever.
Yeah.
And in the game that they've played.
Yeah, if you look like offensively, Padres haven't. I mean, I feel like their pitching has been decent, but offensively, the Padres haven't really done much against this Pirate staff.
No. This Pirates pitching just shut the Padres right down. It's crazy. Anyways, all right. So
baseball's weird.
Right. So I'm with you. And with being weird, the series is tied now. They're back to 500 on the season because the Pirates ended up winning last night. So they ended their 5-game losing streak. Mitch Keller takes them out, and as we all knew he was going to stop it, right, Jim? We all knew Mitch Keller was going to put an end to this losing streak. Last night against the Padres, he comes out, not a no-hitter, but he comes out, pitches effectively. Pirates take the win. The reason I say it that way too is I want to ask your viewpoint on this. Mitch Keller's performance last night. I say pitch effectively because the results were there. And obviously results always trump everything. I mean, you could be all smoke and mirrors, but if you end the season at 2 ERA, that's what matters, right? And last night, like the results were there. He got outs. He was pretty efficient. And of course got the W. But I wasn't leaving that start too confident, if that makes sense, with Mitch Keller. I didn't look at it and feel like he really turned a corner. Let's go. I almost felt as if there was a lot of like smoke and mirrors to that performance. It was good, right? The results were there. It's helpful. But I didn't really feel like this is the launching pad to like the next stage of Mitch Keller's turnaround. How do you feel? Tell me I'm wrong.
I guess my question is why do you think that?
Well, I guess the reason is, I mean, he threw 70% fastballs.
Okay. Yep.
Wasn't getting any swings and misses. And for the most part, I mean, he was getting hit pretty hard. Not regularly, but there was a lot of hard contact. Now, luckily for him, a lot of it went into the dirt. He got outs, but I think he had four whiffs last night, 4 swings and misses the entire game. A lot of fastballs. And even on top of that, it wasn't as if he was like out there just with precision hitting his marks. I mean, like the one that stands out the most, and this is just one example, right? And I'm not saying it was every time, but like the one that stood out was he threw a perfect fastball to Machado for a strikeout. But it's not where the ball was supposed to go, right? Like Stallings was set up inside, and it was just perfectly painted on the outside there. And, Machado struck out. But again, that's not where it was supposed to be. Like he lucked into that strikeout to a degree. It just wasn't, it seemed like it just wasn't all there. And that's why.
Okay. So I agree with you on the fastball thing. Like it was weird. It kind of took us back to when Keller first got called up. Remember when Keller first got called up, and it was like, exactly. Why is he throwing all these fastballs?
You have that amazing curveball, and he doesn't use it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it was strange to see, but at the same time, he was having success with it. Right. I think more than anything, there was a point last night where actually I think it was Machado was up, and it was the 12th batter of the game. And the Padres' approach last night was against Keller was kind of interesting. I know up to that point, up to that Machado at bat, they did not swing at it first pitch. So the first 12 batters of the game all let the first pitch go. Mm-hmm. And so I think what I liked about Keller last night, and again, I don't know if this pitch breakdown is something that is going to stick around, but it worked last night. Maybe that was the game plan going in against this Padres lineup, was to throw tons of fastballs. It sounds like that's what it was. But what I liked about it was he at least was in the zone, right? He was attacking hitters with that fastball. He really was basically just, here's my fastball, hit it, right? And the Padres for pretty much the entire game showed that they couldn't do it.
Right.
So I think that was good to see. And because we talk a lot about how Mitch Keller, this is a confidence thing. Like he just needs to trust his stuff and know that he can get major league hitters out. And I think last night is a good stepping stone for him to be like, okay, you know what, maybe I belong here. Because he was just showing the Padres what he's got, and the Padres weren't doing anything with it. So he was mostly around the zone, 2 walks, which is a lot better than what we've seen. I was good with that. But I think for the most part, he was working ahead in the count for most of the game. And that's just going to automatically make you a better pitcher. So I think it was nice to see. Like, I'm not going to say that, this is Mitch Keller now, right? But it was good to see. It was good to see him getting ahead of hitters. It was good to see him attacking them. It was good to see him just saying, hey, here's what I got. Come and hit it. And it was nice to see that they couldn't hit it. So I enjoyed the performance. It was a little weird, right? Just because of the pitch usage. It was more like a Steven Brault start than it was a Mitch Keller start.
That's a good call.
but it worked. It worked. So hey, whatever works at this point for Keller, I'm cool with. Like he needs to see that he can get major league hitters out and do it consistently. And last night he did that.
And that all like I agree with. Like I'm not trying to really poo poo on this start and say like it was terrible by any means. And actually, so a couple comments here, which it's funny. Ironically, you can use both. You know, one comment is, well, that's a bad start for a good starter. That's what a bad start for a good starter looks like. And then someone came back and said, or a good start for a bad starter. Right. And that's part of it. Like, we don't know what Mitch Keller really is right now. I mean, so far he's a bad starter. I mean, just is what it is. He came in this game with like an 8.3 ERA, whatever it was. I mean, you can't deny he's at this point been a bad starter more than a good starter, right? Yes, there are certainly things in here that stand out that is good, right? And I feel like maybe, I don't know if it was the plan for the Padres or maybe just a plan for Mitch Keller. Like, let's just come in here and like, I'm with you too. Like, this certainly seemed like it was a strategy to throw the fastball 70% of the time. So maybe that's what it was. Like, let's just get Mitch on track, just throw the fastball. And like, I get that aspect. But what I also feel like, so if there's 100 other dimensions, right? I feel like in 60 of those dimensions, Mitch Keller got lit up last night. If that makes sense. That's kind of, I guess, where I'm coming from. Like, last night, the results were good. But I feel like they probably shouldn't have been this good, you know, for like all these reasons. It was good seeing this stuff from Mitch Keller. This is a lot of stuff that we needed to see. And again, like, this might be something he can definitely build upon. But I didn't look at last night's start saying we got Mitch Keller turned around. You know, like, oh, this is Mitch, because this isn't Mitch Keller. This isn't his profile for the most part. Like, this isn't Mitch Keller. This might be a way to bridge that gap to eventually get to what we need to get to Mitch Keller, which is good, and that's fine. If that's how this has to be done and it works, then we're good and all. But like, I guess that's my little concern here is like, it was good to see the results, but I didn't come away from that just saying like, wow, from Mitch Keller. I still a little bit worried about that. So I guess it's just like, let's see the next performance now. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, like in no way is this like, oh, Mitch Keller's back, right? Or if he was ever here, I don't know. But it was nice to see. It was nice to see him throw strikes. I feel like that's the biggest thing with him right now is just like, throw the ball in the zone, throw strikes, see if major league hitters can hit it. Because I said last night he showed that if he's in the zone, they couldn't hit him.
Cool.
That's what's important right now.
Yeah. All right. So again, Mitch Keller does come out there, good results, and I mean, obviously he looked better than he has most of the time this year. Like, I'll give him that. And of course, the reasons too were because of all the stuff that he was doing. I mean, he's walking people right and left. He has, you know, no confidence. So at least he's doing that stuff, which is good. He did look better tonight than most times this year. I guess moving on from him, anything else stand out from you last night, performance wise? Is there really anything, I guess, to talk about with this lineup? Let's kind of go there. We've had the fun Pirates little lineup there for a bit, right? It was fun with Phillip Evans. It was fun when Moran was, you know, just blasting right and left here. Now that we have a little over a month of results, I think we kind of see this lineup for what it really is. And we were still saying then, like, it's not very deep, obviously. But, man, there's, you know, I guess like when you look at this and you maybe not 100 losses, but for the people that were predicting 100 losses and such, like, you can understand to a degree why that's there. Like, there's just no depth, and this offense has to be carried, it seems like, by a few people every night. Because if Moran ain't on it, right? If Eric Gonzalez isn't hitting a fastball out the yard, then you're not getting any run support.
Yeah. I mean, you look last night. I mean, Eric Gonzalez like single-handedly won the game last night with that second run. I mean, he singled, he stole second, and then he scored on a ground ball to the second baseman.
Which, by the way, and not to really cut you
yeah.
off here, I just want to point this out too. That hit and run was so bad. You say he stole second, right? I mean, you can tell it clearly had to be a hit and run. And it was just so funny because, of course, it had to be because Stallings swung at it. And I swear, I mean, Stallings is like 7'3", and he had to swing up in the air to try to hit that ball. So
yeah. So, I mean, it was a botched hit and run that worked out. But no, yeah, Eric Gonzalez, I mean, without that run, then we're into extra innings and who knows what happens.
Right.
But yeah, no, so that was fun to see that I mean, that was all Eric Gonzalez. But no, I'm with you. The offense has kind of come back down to earth, right? At the beginning of the year, we had all these hitters who were hot, and they were all hot at the same time. I mean, you could say Frazier, Reynolds, Evans, Moran, Gonzalez, and Stallings were really all hitting right there at the beginning of the year. Now you've kind of seen a lot of these guys cool off. Brian Reynolds seems like he's still been pretty consistent. Colin Moran's still playing okay. But, Evans has really cooled off. Frazier's still hitting the ball decent. But for the most part, yeah, the depth of this lineup, once you get past like those 2 or 3 guys, the rest of this lineup is not good.
Yeah.
And I said it's going to come down to a depth thing, especially. I mean, now that Polanco's out, this outfield. I mean, you're going to be playing Kai Tom every single game at this point because you have to.
Oh, right.
Wilmer Defoe.
You really have no other options.
Wilmer Defoe is going to get significant playing time here. It's not pretty. Like I said, and I said we all knew this was going to happen at some point. They were going to have to show what they had depth wise, and it's not looking very good. Like there are entire portions of the lineup that are just easy outs.
Right, and that's. I think we've clearly seen. You knew like 7, 8, 9 was pretty bad, but it's getting even smaller now. The throw up Evans, that was kind of fun. It's not as if he's been like just completely terrible either. Like he has swung and hit the ball kind of hard. He's got a little bit unlucky. Like some of the balls gone the outfield and caught. It's not as if he's just been a complete bum out there, and that's why he's falling hard right now. But he's certainly cooled off, and it just feels like, I mean, obviously, like if someone gets hurt, I mean, if Colin Moran, right, just pick him. Like if Colin Moran gets hurt, really, what's this lineup? Adam Frazier, leading it off to get on base, to get picked off at first base, right? And then you have Eric Gonzalez, who, as long as it's a fastball, he might be able to hit it, right? Brian Reynolds is looking good. Like Brian Reynolds, I'm very happy and pleased what I see of Brian Reynolds so far. I'm very confident to say Brian Reynolds is a good player. Last year was worries, same worries with Newman, right? But of this year, they're complete polar opposites. Newman's still giving you the 2020 season, where Reynolds is showing no. Like 2019 was legit, still doing the same thing. He's not going to hit for a ton of power still. What do you have? He has 2 home runs so far this year. I don't foresee him going to turn into this, power guy, but he's going to be hitting the gaps. It's kind of like what he was doing in 19. Like he's going to have solid average. It's what we talked about. Like he's never hit under 300 anywhere up until last year. So I think the guy's a hitter. Other than that,
I agree.
Like Colin Moran has been impressive because of, I guess, what what we've been expecting of him. But yeah, like if Colin Moran goes down, like this lineup, you just walk Reynolds and you're good. That's really all you have to do. Just walk Reynolds. There's nobody you fear. The team can't hit a home run to save its life as a whole in general. Like they have to string hits together, and there's only 2 guys in the team that can hit. And one of them gets out on the base pass every time. So
yeah, the lack of power is really concerning. And then we all knew it going into the year. Like we looked at this lineup and was like, where are home runs going to come from? And you're seeing it especially this day and age, it's hard because pitchers are going to strike you out. I mean, the Pirates are better than most teams at putting the ball in play, but they still have a lot of guys who are putting the ball in play and it's weak contact, right? Which doesn't do you any good.
Mhm.
But like this day and age, it's hard to put up a lot of runs if you're not hitting the ball over the fence. Like that's an easy way to get runs across, and that is something that the Pirates don't do. There are very few people in the lineup who are capable of doing it. I mean, you actually look at the lineup, and like there's people in there who, I mean, the Pirates started 3 guys yesterday who I don't even think like could hit a home run once every 200 at bats.
And
And,
there was
I mean,
3 of them.
I mean,
Yeah.
we saw Stallings a couple times where like you thought he'd like put an absolute charge into balls, right?
Right.
And
Right to
and
the
it
warning
like
track.
goes to the warning track, right? Like, that's like the farthest he can hit the ball. Tom is not a major league baseball player. I'm sorry. I'm fine with giving him some playing time right now, but like just because who else are you going to put there? And we can kind of, I don't know if we want to talk about that, but like Brian Goodwin, I don't know what Brian Goodwin did to like Ben Cherington's family, but like with how awful the Pirates outfielders have been, like how did Brian Goodwin not even get like a
I'm
bat?
honestly perplexed on that also. I mean, we
So,
honestly thought he's making the opening day roster
yeah,
squared away.
yeah.
The only reason he might lose playing time to Alford is just for the fact that Alfred's new shiny toy. Let's see what he has, because if there's a future for either of them, it's going to be Alfred and not Goodwin. But Goodwin's clearly the best center field option we've had on the team. And somehow or another, he's the only option that wasn't used. I don't
Like,
understand it either.
Wasn't used at all. They just released him. Now he's signed with the White Sox, which makes perfect sense with all the injuries that they've had.
Right.
And they're 2/3 of their outfield is hurt now. But yeah, I mean, Brian Goodwin is coming off a year where 2 years ago he hit 17 homers. Last year in the small year he hit 6. So like the guy can actually, like if Brian Goodwin were on the team, he might be the best power hitter on the team, to be honest with you. And actually that's probably not a stretch. Like he probably is the best power hitter on the team if he's on the team.
I mean, what is it? Polanco and Moran that you're looking at, like the only other options,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Moran's never hit 17 home runs in a season.
Right.
So like, yeah. So like, I don't get how he at least didn't get some playing time, but oh well, whatever. It's fine. What we were talking about? Oh, just the lack of power. So yeah,
Tom,
I mean Stallings, Tom, and then who else was in there yesterday? You can't hit a home run. Kevin Newman,
Kevin
right?
Newman.
So you had So Newman, Tom, and Stallings all in there. None of them even capable of hitting the ball out of the ballpark. I say that a little bit facetiously. Stallings does have one
right,
home run.
but I mean, it really is true. Like you're
yeah.
not looking at either of them and fearing that I might give up a home run here. If bases were loaded, right, you're not thinking I'm gonna give up a grand slam.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. It's not a lineup that you look at and any pitcher is scared of. If you're in the major leagues and you're a pitcher, you are not worried about facing the Pirates.
So, and I guess that's why I just want to preference this. Like, I'm not out here touting either that they now will go for 100 losses. My prediction was end up being 101, right? I said 61 wins. But I think like now we are truly seeing why the people who did say that like had a little bit of an argument to them. I put it out there also, like if this team didn't have Adam Frazier, and it's not like Adam Frazier has been, MVP caliber. Like we're talking about, like I joke about like average Joes and scrubs. Like this isn't stars and scrubs. This is average Joes and scrubs. Like if this team didn't have Adam Frazier, if it didn't have Rich Rod, if it didn't have Crick, and if it didn't have Tyler Anderson, where would this team be? And I say that too, and I strategically use those players because really they've been probably the better echelon of this team, right, performance-wise. And those are all 4 guys that you're looking to probably trade. So, like, if and when those guys are traded, you're left with the rest of this team to play. And that's what I get at. Like, like, again, Adam Frazier's not lighting the world up. But, like, you take away even Adam Frazier from this lineup, and now you take away Anderson from that rotation, and now Crick and Rodriguez from that bullpen. This is a bad team.
Right. Like, you take Frazier away and you plug Cole Tucker in there, and Cole Tucker and Newman are playing every day, and you've got a middle infield that's hitting, 175. Right. That's. Yeah, and that's kind of why I threw out my prediction, was because I could anticipate this team, like, at some point just being completely gutted, and that team doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You have, like, one competent. Now, I know Brault hasn't made his debut yet. He's coming back, so he can add something. Maybe Cole gets turned around to a little bit of a degree here. But right, like, I mean, outside of JT Brubaker, you take out Tyler Anderson, this rotation, I mean, wow. It's awful. It's awful. And then, like, the bullpen has been successful this year. The bullpen as a whole unit has been good. But I also feel like it's really relied upon Rich Rod and Crick giving you literally 0 runs for the entire season so far. Not to say Sam Howard hasn't looked good, not to say Bednar hasn't had moments, but, like, it's also not deep.
Yeah.
So it's a strong point now, but it's also strong because you're getting lights out performances that aren't sustainable. I mean, Crick and Rodriguez aren't going to go a whole season and not give up a run. But then again,
I don't know about that.
You're not sure? I know Rich Rod has technically pitched a perfect game so far. Right, he's made 28 consecutive outs. So he's pitched a reliever perfect game.
He did it again with no strikeouts last night too. Like, it's insane. It's crazy. I love him. He's the man.
But right, yeah, you take out Crick and Rodriguez, and now that bullpen, I'm not too fearful of it. I don't think it's going to hold up too long as being one of the better bullpens in the NL, baseball, whatever at that point. So yeah, there's definitely a lack of depth, and that's why I think a lot of us can see, like, this team isn't going to be hunting for 500. It's going to be a lot of bad baseball this summer, but still not saying that there's not intriguing things to watch, to stand out for, or whatever. But it's going to be a lot of bad baseball. Even when they win, like last night, there's bad baseball. Okay, so also one thing I want to bring up too, you talk about Eric Gonzalez. I mean, obviously that play was exciting. Just the fact that he took off, the fact that he scored from second on, a ground out, essentially. I mean, it should have been a ground out.
Yeah, it should have been a ground out.
Right? He scored from second was amazing. But I just have to point something out there. So he does make that play, and it was exciting, rah, awesome. But also, to a degree, Tom did. I mean, I said it out there. I made fun of it because he's made several base path errors so far. He's gotten out where he shouldn't have. But that was a very similar play to Eric Gonzalez. When Tom took off and tried to get third, right? That was more of a damn, like, shout out to Kim. Great play on Kim.
Excellent play.
Everyone hated Tom. Everyone loved Eric Gonzalez. But really, they were about the same play.
Yep. One worked and one didn't. So, I mean, that's the difference.
Right. So, Eric Gonzalez could easily have been out much like Tom was. And Eric Gonzalez today is the savior. Like you mentioned, like, they won the game because of Eric Gonzalez. Whereas he could have also been the scapegoat and said, well, if Eric Gonzalez didn't make that stupid play, the Pirates could have had a chance. Anyways, I wanted to throw that out there when you brought up the play about Eric Gonzalez earlier. I forgot. So, but yes. So, anyways, I guess now where were we at? That I got us off topic.
We were talking about things to look forward to.
Yes.
Which I think is a good segue.
Yes.
For minor league opening day last night.
Absolutely. So we actually have things to talk about because we waited a whole day. Jim didn't sleep in. We just strategically waited a whole day to talk about this. What an opening day for the minor leagues. I mean, not just we were craving minor league baseball, at least some of us, because we didn't get any of it last year. Yeah. But, I mean, the Pirates are in a rebuild. There's actual real value and reasons to be intrigued for these teams because that is the future. But on top of all those reasons, I feel like yesterday was awesome in the sense that like everyone that you wanted to see perform, I felt like performed, except for Priester. Like Priester was like the only one I felt like that had a bad game that you were looking at yesterday.
Yeah, it was fun. I was able to catch, since the Pirates had a late game, right? I was actually able to watch some minor league baseball, which was
Right.
which was cool. But it was great to see. Like, I mean, all these guys who we've been waiting to see play baseball for over a year now. We finally got to watch them last night. I mean, it's one game, but let's talk about a couple guys. How about we start off with Peguero?
Okay.
So Peguero, so like Peguero is a guy that we've talked about a lot as somebody that we wanted to see, and
Marte trade.
Literally, like the first highlight of the night, 3-run homer by Peguero. So that was pretty cool. So opening day home run for Peguero, first game in a Pirates organization uniform, 3-run bomb.
Yep.
So yeah, dripping with power.
Dripping with power. And a shortstop. I mean, a shortstop dripping with power and a good glove.
Yeah, so Peguero, and then I mean Gonzalez too, right behind him with a double. So Gonzalez had a pretty good game. 1 for 4 with a double and a walk. Peguero 1 for 4 with a homer and a walk. So some decent performances there out of the Greensboro guys. That Greensboro team's going to be fun with Peguero and Gonzalez. Their pitching staff looks nasty. We won't talk too much about Quinn Priester. He was like the only guy who had like a rough opener from guys that we want to highlight. But
sure.
A lot of and I didn't watch that, but I think a lot of that was aided by some defensive issues. Looks like there were 2 errors, in Priester's 3 innings. So I mean, who knows what he was dealing with there? It's kind of hard to tell. Minor league baseball, it's if you ever watched it, or like college baseball, it's if you don't have good defense behind you, sometimes things start to unravel.
I mean, hell,
it's just a little.
We watch
the
Pirates, and we see that. So
that's true. We see that in Major League Baseball.
If you've watched the Pirates for a few years now, anything on the first base side, right?
It's a more common occurrence in the minor leagues than
there
it
you
is
go.
in the majors.
But yeah, Priester 3 innings, 6 runs, only 3 earned. But yeah, it wasn't pretty. So, but I felt like that's the thing. Like that was the one I felt like poor performance by anyone that you're really intrigued to see yesterday. So I'll take that as a huge W. I, of course, would rather have seen Priester succeed. There's a lot of hype around Priester, so I'm really zoned in and focused on Priester because all the hype came from his performance at this alternate site last year that nobody could see, but apparently everyone talked about. So now we can start seeing this stuff. And of course, our first taste was, he gave up 3 earned runs in 3 innings. So that is what it is. Like you said, it's just one start, but yes, definitely nice to see, right? Peguero get the home run, and Gonzalez thing started with a double and the walk, and then the next 3 you got out. But yeah, so that's, like you said, we'll start with Greensboro. Do you want to move on to, or what's that?
Let's talk about, I mean, another one that was just awesome last night, and this is what I was actually able to see was Ronzi Contreras.
Yes.
So, oh my gosh, like first off, his just presence on the mound, like he's a big guy, so he is an imposing character out there. Like he was just. It says he's 6 feet 175 on like, but I don't think that's right. Like he looked bigger than that because he was just out there and he was just dominating these double-A hitters. And he was facing a pretty good team, like in the Baltimore's double-A team, Bowie. He faced Adley was in there. He struck Adley out twice. So you're talking about the number 2 or 3 prospect in baseball, depending on who you're looking at. Just shut him down. So that was fun to see. It was kind of cool to see the pitching performance because Baltimore was throwing out DL Hall, who's like their top pitching prospect, and he looked really good too. Speaking of other pitchers, DL Hall struck out 10 in 4 1/3. Roansy Contreras struck out 11 in 5. So dominating pitching performances in Double-A last night. But it was. I mean, Contreras looked just awesome. He gave up 5 hits, but no walks, 11 strikeouts, and I'll tell you what, his breaking ball was just it was hard for anybody to do anything with it last night. His fastball, he was blowing it by hitters. I think he was hitting like 95, 96 most of the night. But he looked really good. Good command, throwing strikes, and no one could hit it. It was exciting to see. It really, like, that trade. I mean, I know it's one game, but geez, it's looking good. It's looking good.
I don't want to jump off the cliff and just be like, the Tyone trade, like, look at this, but you can't be for what evidence and what we've seen so far, you can't be, I think, any more happier in a return than what we have right now. And I was worried. I mean, I was definitely on board with, do you trade Tyone now or do you wait into the season? Because I just felt like if you trade him now, you're going to get like the lowest value. Maybe you get like an intriguing prospect. But like what Charrington got for Tyone, right, with never pitching a game after his second Tommy John. It's early returns. It's very, very short sample, but you've seen the scouting reports. You've seen a little bit of spring, right? Some of the guys you've seen in the major leagues, some of the guys now you've seen in the minor leagues and whatnot. Like, you have every reason to be excited for literally every player in that Tyone trade. And that to me is amazing. Right now, I don't care about performances. I don't know and care what's going to happen in 3 years. I mean, of course, I care to a degree what's going to happen 3 years down the line. But all I'm saying is right now to this point, you have legit reasons to be excited, right? Not just pleased, excited for literally every player in that Tyone trade. That to me is amazing in that return.
Yeah.
Now, can they all not pan out? It's possible. It's possible. Yeah. But like, if you could be excited for one player and find, well, there's 3 guys that could be a major leaguer. To me, that's almost like a win in a Tyone trade at that point. There's 4 guys that you can legitimately have excitement for. And yes, one of them was definitely Contreras last night. And he wasn't the highlight of the trade.
Yeah, and Contreras was, I mean, I feel like when the trade happened, it was like, he'll probably go to the bullpen. But
Psych.
Yeah, he looked awesome last night. Sticking with Altoona, O'Neal Cruz had 2 hits.
Yes.
Mason Martin, 1 for 3 with a walk. I think the Pirates, like from a power standpoint, Mason Martin is going to be an interesting person to watch this year because, again, if you look at the Major League team, just 0 power whatsoever. Like O'Neal Cruz and Mason Martin are those 2 guys in the minor leagues who could actually potentially solve that problem. So, those 2 will be interesting to watch this year. Martin still needs to cut down on the strikeouts, struck out twice, but again, he does have a ton of power. So it'll be, I'm interested to see how he handles that jump up to Double-A this year.
True.
And then we talked about the outfield situation. The outfield situation in Pittsburgh, not looking good. Injuries happening. Everyday starter, Kai Tom, right? First AAA at bat last night, Travis Swaggerty goes yard. Okay. So that was awesome. I mean, he went 3 for 4 last night with a walk. So just an outstanding AAA debut for Travis Swaggerty. Out of anybody on that Indianapolis team, it's a very, like, as interesting as these lower level teams are, Indianapolis is like equally as uninteresting. There's not a lot of exciting players on this Indians team. But Swaggerty is the one that, you kind of want to watch. Because he, Tyler called it, earlier this year. He said Swaggerty is going to be the second most valuable Pirates outfielder this year. And as of right now, that's not looking too so far out of the question. I mean,
It's
he's
not
got to
really
be
a
like that.
challenge.
But yeah, it's not really too challenging. But like with all, I mean, you've seen Alfred's done. You know, he's missed his shot. Fowler missed his shot. Now they're on Tom here. Goodwin's gone.
Goodwin's
Like,
gone. Yeah.
Goodwin's gone. So like it's
And on
Swaggerty.
top of that,
Yeah.
oh, what's his name?
All of us hurt.
Yeah, he's out
Yeah.
for a bit. So like he
Yeah.
would have been the next man up, you would assume. Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's rewind back actually a little bit. The fact that Swaggerty started off in AAA, I was a
Yeah.
little surprised on that. You know, I guess I just assumed he'd probably start off in AA. He makes the jump to AAA. I mean, to me, that was pretty aggressive considering what he's put up so far. Now, again, obviously, like last year being a lost season just changes a lot of things, right? Who knows what would happen? But I think a big part of this was kind of like with Priester, like what's going on behind the scenes that we can't see. There's been a lot of talk about Swaggerty, how impressive he's been, you know, at the alt site and such. So they put him right into AAA. And now let's get back to the present tense. First game, as mentioned, 3 for 4 with a home run. Like that's, you could have made a better debut right now. And I think it just pushes it even further. So, you know, there was the over under. Tyler did talk about it. And I think Tyler he was pretty strong on it. Tyler, I think, said 40 plus games he's going to get this year in Pittsburgh, right? I think that's what he said, if I'm lying. I think I asked 20 or something, but he's like, no, if you said 40, I'd give 40. With the way that outfield looks right now,
Mhm.
I don't know. Swaggerty 2021.
I mean, it's almost, I would think it's almost a given at this point, right? I mean, you got to assume that Kai Tom is not going to be on this team very long.
I can only assume. I hope.
So,
you know, and it's not even like it has to be Swagger. Like it's going to be somebody soon here. You know, probably the next few weeks.
So like it's going to be just an act of attrition, I think, more than anything. Like Swaggerty at some point, as long as he doesn't like flop here in AAA, right? Because it is an aggressive assignment. You know, he was in high A in 2019. He was an above average hitter in high A. So it's not like he was like a bust or anything. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't out of this world, right? He was okay. He was good. Like I think he was a Florida State League All-Star, right? Whatever, you know, you want to give credence to that. But then 2020 hits, he's at the alternate site. And I guess the Pirates like what they saw from him out of the alternate site and out of spring training to be like, okay, you know what, you're good to skip AA. And they put him in AAA. So yeah, aggressive assignment. I think it was, I like the move because, you know, first off, just like with his age, I mean, he's 23 now. I mean, like I've said it a few times already. Like this is Travis Swaggerty's like do or die year in terms of like, is he a prospect, right? Like he's either going to show this year that he is a prospect to actually like pay attention to, or he's not. If he does what he does in 2019 again, where he's just like an okay guy, there's really not anything to be excited about with Travis Swaggerty. If he can show that he's the guy that we're hoping he was going to develop into when he was drafted, like just somebody who does everything well. He doesn't have any tools that are like off the charts great. He's you know, when they drafted him, like he's good at everything. He should be able to hit with a little bit of power. He's got the speed, he can field. So like he can do everything well. Those were kind of his tools. If he can develop into that, then you're looking at like another Brian Reynolds type guy, right?
Right.
And I think that's kind of what we would be hoping for from Swaggerty.
But think about it, and that's the thing. So, you know, he makes an aggressive once he makes it, but he's given the aggressive push to AAA. So that stood out a little bit. So I'm like, okay. And yes, it is just one game, obviously, but you know,
yeah.
Right. I mean, it was good to see this. And right. So the reason he got that push is you're hearing that he's impressed people. So it kind of puts you on alert, like with Priester. So maybe there is more. I mean, they're seeing more to Swaggerty to do this. Maybe there is more. So I guess more intrigued on Swaggerty right now than I probably was 2 weeks ago. In my mind, I almost was writing Swaggerty off. And maybe that's just my fault. I just felt, Swaggerty, I didn't hate the draft pick, but obviously his tenure so far with the minor leagues and such, I kind of felt as he was going to be just a guy. It's kind of stinks. It was a high draft pick to a degree. He's going to end up just being a guy now because of what I'm hearing. And, maybe he will be, like you're saying, a prospect. So maybe I got to jump in and say, okay, I got to clear my head and thought right now. Really look into this. And yes, first game, just one game, but still the first game, 3 or 4. My eyes are open now again on Swaggerty. Let's definitely look into this. But you are right, too. Outside of Swaggerty, there's really not much on AAA to look at.
It's kind of crazy, though, because we talk about Swaggerty, and I think a lot of us kind of did write him off as far as like a top prospect goes. The guy, last night was his 173rd minor league baseball game.
Okay.
So, like, the guy's, like, barely played over a year,
Right.
And in that one full year he had, like, he was good. Like, he wasn't great, but he was good. It's just, I think what was crazy about Swaggerty and what hurt him a lot was last year, right? Like, last year would have been like his, okay, let's show what you got in AA year, and it never happened. And so it kind of just like he kind of got pushed back. But yeah, now we're seeing him again, and so he will be a very interesting person to watch this year at Indianapolis. Rest of the Indianapolis team, not so interesting.
And
but
in
Swaggerty,
potentially.
Yeah. I mean, I would be shocked at this point. I know it's one game, so I'm not even really putting stock into like what he has to do with Indy, but I think just in general, it would be surprising that Swaggerty doesn't make Pittsburgh at some point this year.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there too. Mm-hmm. And I talk about the one game, and of course the one game is nice to see the 3 for 4, but also right, the results could have been 0 for 4 last night, and I think I'm still with you. The fact that he's in AAA to me speaks more than what happened last night. The fact that he's in AAA tells me the Pirates seem to be motivated to get him to that next step. And you are correct. Like, I mean, this outfield is just, especially now with Polanco down. Not saying he's gonna be out for the whole year, obviously, but this outfield is just atrocious. Like, there's really not much stopping. There's not much saying we got to give Swaggerty as many AAA at bats as possible because we can't take away bats from XYZ on the major league team. We got to sort this roster out. Maybe we have to make a trade here or two. We can fit Swaggerty in. I mean, he can be in there right now, I'm sure. Might not be best for his development. Let's keep him in AAA for right now. But I don't think like really Tom is holding Swaggerty back, if you know what I mean.
No.
I'm pretty sure Swaggerty's probably better than Tom right now. It just makes, of course, sense to have Swaggerty in AAA right now to continue that development, see what he does there.
And I'm with you there. I think the move to AAA is a strong message that shows, we want Swaggerty to get here as quick as possible.
Yeah. And again, the age, it's not as if like he is young by any means either. Like he should be, in the majors right now, theoretically.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that, if you were looking at a college draft picked in 2018, 2021, that's your year. Yeah. Yep. So being in AAA right now means he's kind of back right on track.
Mm-hmm. Agree. So then I guess outside of that, it's probably again with Contreras, between you and our group message and then like me on Twitter, because Alex Stump was at the game as well. I think I just glued into like YouTube, just all the comments and tweets going back and forth because I couldn't watch the game. I was also out getting dinner, but it was just fantastic seeing on all the clips and everything. So I guess, the last thing I guess we go to Altoona. Anything that stood out there? I know. So Head did make his first plate appearance with the Pirates organization, got a hit, and then struck out 3 times. One game, but that's pretty much as advertised for him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he started off in Bradenton. So It's going to take me a while.
Oh, my bad. That's what I meant. Not Altoona.
It's going to take me a while to remember that like Bradenton and Greensboro switched spots. So Bradenton is now the low A team, right?
Right.
Yeah, Bradenton had a rough night last night. They had a lead going to the 9th inning and then gave up 4 runs in the 9th. But they've got some interesting people too. Like you mentioned, Hudson Head singled in his first bat. Then he struggled the rest of the game. But Andy Rodriguez also in Bradenton, so he was in that. All of a sudden the Mets just squeaked into that Musgrove deal for some reason and sent us Andy Rodriguez. So,
and what's funny, let's give 3 seconds to that. We were kind of on board. Like, why did they not keep him? They could have used him and flipped him. And well, by the way, he's looked awful this year. So maybe the Pirates made a good choice.
Yeah. So Andy Rodriguez comes over. He's now immediately the top catching prospect in the organization. So that'll make him someone to watch because there's literally nobody else other than him. But he goes 2 for 4 last night in his debut. So nice to see, obviously.
Yep. Now let's get into it.
Tyler's boy.
Yes.
Alexander Mahika, I think is how you pronounce it. I don't even know. Just hit a bomb yesterday. First off, I didn't realize how big this guy was. This is another thing too. MinorLeagueBaseball.com says that Mojica is 6'1", 195.
No. Add a 2 and flip the 9. Like that boy's 265. Easy.
That guy's like, he looked like he was like 6'5", 270. Like,
right.
He's playing against these little 18-year-old boys, and then Mojica comes up here and he's just like an absolute monster. And
he just seriously looked like Vlad Jr. of last year.
And he just clobbered a baseball, like just absolutely destroyed it. And
he's 18.
18 years old. So he will be one to look at there. I don't see how he can play anything other than first base, but the
DH will be in that by then.
That was the first time I ever actually saw him, like was with that highlight, and I was like, oh man, this guy's huge. He was like, he kind of like Miguel Sano, like, right? Like just like a monster. And this ball, he just absolutely clobbered this baseball. So yeah, he'll be a fun one to watch for sure.
For sure. It was always like there's this name, but he's international. He hasn't really gone to the States and done anything, So it was like, I can't wait to see him. Well, Jim, we saw him, and wow, he's doing this at 18. I weight might be an issue for him. That could seriously be a thing. Like he might go that Vlad route. The way he looks at 18 years old, he might be having some off seasons where we're talking about his weight like Vlad Jr. was, but man, did he hit the hell out of that baseball? So
he crushed it.
Yeah,
crushed it.
That to me was definitely one of the highlights of the nights as well. To me, it was like Contreras, and then it was Mojica because that ball was annihilated. But yeah, so minor league baseball's back. Definitely more fun to watch, I feel, this summer than the Pirates. Just is what it is, but that is the future. So we'll keep you up to date on the minor leagues here.
Yeah, I'm just excited to have it back. So, because the Pirates are gonna have off days every now and then, right? So it's good to have something. That was always my thing. Is like if the Pirates were off or on the West Coast, hey, let's check and see how the minor leagues are doing. So.
And that was honestly, that couldn't have been any more perfect, like you said, because it was a West Coast game. So you literally could just watch the games. You didn't have to feel guilty of not watching the Pirates, because we knew you were watching the minor leagues last night, not the Pirates.
Right.
Especially with Tatis on the bench. Jeez, there's no reason.
Tatis isn't starting. No reason.
No, not Jim's boy. All right. So let's wrap this up. Any last words? Anything you want to finish with here?
I think we covered it all. Hopefully last night's win turns into some better baseball and the offense can start picking it back up again. That's more fun.
It definitely is. Yeah. Let's substitute some bad pitching again for good offense.
Yeah. Right.
All right. We'll see you guys then tomorrow night. It's another off day tomorrow, isn't it?
It is.
Jesus. Maybe we got to change these Thursday nights. So much of these post game things. All right. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Later, guys.